Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video we will be making this little no-sew frog. He is 100% no-sew. Even his arms and legs will be part of the stitching. The only thing you'll have to do is put a little line for a mouth and little cheeks if you want, and then attach some eyes. I'll be doing them in a number 6 blanket yarn, and I'll be using a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. But if you want to try it with a number 4 yarn and a 4.25 millimeter hook or smaller, you can also follow along with this exact tutorial and you will get this little tinier frog. This is a crochet along, so I will be doing every stitch with you. But if for some reason I do something that you're not understanding, there will be a drop down at the beginning of each row for about 15 to 30 seconds that you can always refer back to. And I'm going to try and go slow, just in case you're a beginner or this is the first time you are trying out the plush yarn, because I am as well am kind of a beginner with this yarn. And I'm going to be using a moss green by Bernat, and I can already tell that it's kind of on the rougher side, so it's probably not going to slide very nice on my needle. Don't forget, if you like my videos, please hit the subscribe button. That helps me out. And it will also notify you when I load a new video. And feel free to like and share or leave me a comment. I think that's everything. So grab your yarn and let's get started. Okay, I am going to attempt the magic ring. If you really don't want to try it that way, you can still do it your way. This one is done just with a loop and putting your 6 single crochets in. And if you're doing the plush yarn and you get a point, don't worry about that, because when you're done, when you tie it off on the bottom, you can bring your tail up and down a couple of times and you can pop that down. Okay, so the way I make the magic ring is I pinch the yarn between my ring finger and my thumb. I wrap it around my 3 fingers and I make an X, and then I hold that back piece of yarn with my pinky finger to keep it nice and tight. Then you flip your hand over. You go under the front piece of yarn, you grab the back piece of yarn, you pull it under, and you make 1 chain. And then you just kind of bring it around so you're holding it like this. So here's your loop, and here's your 1 stitch to attach your yarn, and then you're ready to crochet around whatever the first row is going to be. Okay, so for round 1, we're going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. And I need to mark mine. And then we'll begin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So So it should look like this. Now you're going to find your tail end, and now you're going to pull that to bring all these stitches in nice and tight. And be very careful with the blanket yarn because it does break quite easily. And because I put my stitch marker there, I know my first stitch is going to start right here. Okay, for round 2, we are just going to do 6 increases. So that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, increase 11 and 12. For row 3, you're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, and then repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1 and increase, 2 and 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, and our last increase, 17 and 18. Okay, round 4, we're going to put the eyes on. We're going to be doing a double crochet cluster, I believe it's called. And if for some reason you can't get it, just put a single crochet in that stitch and you just won't have the little bumps on the eyes. But if you really want those bumps, just practice and redo it a couple of times and I guarantee you'll get it. Okay, so to begin, we're going to do 2 single crochets and an increase twice. So 1, 2, increase, 3 and 4, and then we're going to repeat that again, 5, 6, and an increase, 7 and 8. Stitch 9, we're going to do our double crochet cluster and we're going to do 3 of them. So you're going to yarn over and you're going to go into that next stitch, grab your yarn, pull up and through, And then you're going to grab your yarn again, but you're only going to go through the first 2 loops. So now you have 2 loops on your hook, and you're going to repeat that. Yarn over, down and through, grab your yarn, come up, and again you're going to go through only the first 2 loops. Now you should have 3 loops on your hook. So that was 1 and 2, and we're going to do one more for our third one. Yarn over, go in, grab your yarn, pull up, grab your yarn, and go through those first 2 loops. Now you should have 4 loops on your hook. Grab your yarn again, and this time you're going to go through all 4 of those loops. So there'll be a little bubble there now. Now you need to find your next stitch. And I believe this is stitch 10. And you're just going to do 1 single crochet. Now you're going to do 1 increase. So 1 and 2 in the same stitch. Then you're going to do another single crochet in the next stitch. And now in the next stitch, you're going to do your next double crochet cluster of 3. So yarn over, in through, grab your yarn, pull up, grab your yarn, and go through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again, go in that same stitch, grab your yarn, pull up and through, grab your yarn again, and go through the first 2 loops, leaving 3 loops on your hook. And we got to do that one more time, into that same stitch, grab your yarn, pull up, grab your yarn again, go through the first 2 loops, leaving 4 loops on your hook, and grab your yarn and go through all 4 of those loops. If for some reason, excuse me, you lose your yarn when you're pulling through all those loops, you're better off to restart the whole little bump than try and grab it and maybe not get through every loop. All right, so this would have been our 14th stitch. So now we are going to increase in the next stitch, and be careful where it is, finding the right one. So we'll do an increase of 15 and 16. And then we're going to continue our 2 single crochets and our increases, 1 increase till we get to the end. So this should be 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, oh, and that was an increase, so 23 and 24 in that last stitch. And that is your hardest row you just finished. So great job. And our next row, row 5, is just going to be 3 single crochets, 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. So 1, 2, 3, and an increase, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, and an increase, 9 and 10. And when you go around these eyes, make sure you're going in the right stitches. There'll be a stitch right here and a stitch right here. So 11, 12, 13, and an increase, 14 and 15. 16, 17, 18, and an increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, and an increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, and our last increase, 29 and 30. See, this guy has a big point. We're going to have to bring that down. I think that has a lot to do with the yarn because I didn't have to do anything with these two. Okay, row 6, we're going to do the legs. So we're going to do 2 single crochets. 1, 2, and then you're going to chain 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you're going to go in the 3rd chain. So this does not count. So this will be your 1st, your 2nd, and your 3rd. So you're going to be going into that, and it might help to hold that because we're going to be putting a couple of stitches in there. Now you're going to slip stitch in that 3rd chain from the hook. Then you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and you're going to go back in that 3rd stitch and slip stitch again. And then you're going to chain 2 again, 1, 2, and then you're going to go back in that 3rd chain and you're going to do 1 more slip stitch. Now try not to twist your chain, and you're going to do 7 slip stitches all the way back down. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now you're going to do 6 single crochets across. Make sure you go in that next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to do our next leg exactly the same as this leg. Chain 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now find that third stitch, 1, 2, 3, and you're going to slip stitch, chain 2, 1, 2, go back in that third stitch and slip stitch, chain 2, 1, 2, and then go back in that third stitch and slip stitch. And then do your 7 single crochets down. Excuse me, making sure you don't twist this chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now you're going to do 12 single crochets across. One. Oops, I only went in one loop there. 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now you're going to do your third leg exactly the same as the other ones. So chain 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go down to your third stitch, 1, 2, 3. Do your slip stitch, chain 2, 1, 2, slip stitch, chain 2, 1, 2, and slip stitch. Now do your 7 slip stitches all the way down. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, whoops, 6, and 7. And now you're going to do your 6 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now you'll do your 4th leg. Chain 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Count down your third stitch, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch, chain 2, 1, 2, slip stitch, chain 2, 1, 2, and slip stitch. and then do your 7 single crochets all the way down. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you should have 4 single crochets left to finish this row. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that round had 30 stitches, and you don't count the legs as stitches. Okay, for row 7, I'm just going to show you quick how you go around the legs. So all our stitches are starting behind the stitch of the next row. So this would be 1 behind this stitch, 2 behind this stitch, and then our next stitch is over here because there's no stitch right here where the leg was. So when we get to this last stitch where we started our leg, our next stitch is going to come all the way around and behind this stitch. Okay, so for round 7, it's going to be 3 single crochets and 1 decrease for a total of 24. So 1, 2, and we're going to come around that leg. So we're in behind this stitch. 3, and a decrease for 4. 5, 6, 7, and we're at our last stitch here, so we got to go around to do our decrease, starting right in there. Decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, and decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, and decrease for 16. And we're at our last stitch, so we got to go around the leg and behind this stitch right here. "17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20. 21. And go around your leg, and you're going to be putting your stitch right there. 22, 23, and a decrease for 24. For row 8, we're going to be going in the back loops, and what that's going to do is make this kind of flat, so he sits down, so it doesn't have a round bottom. And if you've never gone in the back loops before, your normal stitches go in like this, and when you're going in the back loops, you go down in between the two V's and out the back. And if you can't do it, you can keep going around and then just regular single crochets. But even if you have to do it a couple of times, it's worth having this flat. So round 8, in the back loops, we're going to do 2 single crochets and 1 decrease for a total of 18. So 1, 2, and a decrease. Make sure you're in the back loops for 3, 4, 5, and a decrease for 6, 'Seemed like a really long stitch. Whoops. 7, 8, and a decrease for 9. And you should start seeing that little ridge showing up. 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, and a decrease for 15, 16, 17, and a decrease for 18. Okay, let's put the eyes on now. And I'm using 14mm eyes. And what you want to do is kind of just come in between these stitches where you made your cluster and then push your eye down so you kind of got a bit of the kind of shell shape around his eye. If you go like right here where it's nice and easy, you can, but it's not going to be quite the same look. But that, I mean, that's not a bad look either. That's kind of cute too. So depending on how you want the bumps on your eyes to go, I'm going to go up in it. But it is a lot trickier to get the back on your eye. Like you might only get 1 click instead of 2. And in that case, if you're wary about safety eyes, you might want to add some glue or make sure you add a warning. Yeah, see, I can barely get it over the first click. There, that one. This one is trickier. There we go. So they should look something like that. And then let's give them a mouth and cheeks while we're at this point too. So just grab a scrap piece of yarn, whatever you're using for the mouth. And you're going to come up kind of, well, you can make this as big as you want, or you can go one down another row yet. But I'm going to go just inside of his eye, 1 row down, and leave a little bit of yarn on the back side for tying. Then I'm going to go and match that over on this side. So about right there on the inside of the eye. And that's all you're going to do. If you want them to have a smile like this, just come up here, go under the yarn, around, and go back down, and that will give him a little pointed smile, and then just tie it in the back. So let's just give this a tie. And I'm going to tie it about 3 times. Not too tight because you don't want to pull it from the other side. And cut them if you want. And then if you have a scrap piece of pink, we can give them some cheeks. So take your pink, and this time we're just going to go over 1 stitch from the mouth, and then decide if you want your cheeks to go vertical or horizontal. And I think I'm going to go down. So you're just going to be going around this row. And go around 2 or 3 times. Then you're going to go over, match that stitch on the other side, 1 stitch over from the mouth. And then go down, depending on how your stitches fall, go down around the bottom row. Oops. Come back up that same stitch. And then back in. I only did mine twice. Up to you if you want to go a 3rd time. And then you're just going to tie that as well. Just tight enough that it's snug, but you're not pulling your cheeks. Whoops, I pulled it a little bit there. Now we're almost done. So get your hook back in there. For row 9, we're going to do 1 single crochet and 1 decrease, and repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1 decrease for 2, 3 decrease for 4, 5 decrease for 6, 7 decrease for 8, 9 decrease for 10, 11 and decrease for 12. Now you want to add a little bit of stuffing. So what I like to do is put a little bit in the front and then a little bit in the back. And you can make this as firm or as soft as you want. Keeping in mind you want the bottom to stay on the flatter side. find him pretty cute, but I sure as heck couldn't get a very good picture from my thumbnail in my video. So I should say, if you clicked on this, thanks for clicking, even though my thumbnail is not very good. Alright, so I think that's how I want him for now. You can always add a little bit before you close it if you need to. Now for row 10, our final row, we're going to do 6 decreases. And this one could be a little tricky depending on how much you stuffed it. But just take your time and just slowly go around. So that's 1 decrease. 2 decreases. 3 decreases. Whoops. 4 decreases. 5 decreases. And our last 6th decrease. Whoops, I grabbed stuffing there. There we go. I'm going to take my stitch marker out, and then you're just going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Careful not to get stuffing like I just did. And then you're just going to tie that off, leaving a little bit of a tail for sewing around and closing. But if you have a big bump, leave a little extra so you can go up and down and come out and then tie it again so you can bring that flatter if you want it. Or when I did the little green one, I originally made a chain on this one so it could be like a keychain, but then I changed my mind for the video because I didn't know where to let that stand. Alright, pull that up. Where's my needle? So now we're just going to close up the bottom. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to remind you, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And then you will, I believe, be notified every time I load a video. And it will, I think, also show up on your subscription feed. So once you go around, pull that nice and tight. Be careful not to break your yarn. It would be a real shame to break it right here. And then just grab a little piece of stitch and give that another knot. And you can also feel free to share my video. And lately I've been having a lot of people ask if they're allowed to sell the things that they make off my channel. And I have a little thing at the beginning that I thought was longer than necessary, but apparently not. So I'm just going to say yes, sell as many as you want, however much as you want. I wish you all the best and good luck at making sales. Oh yeah, so if you want to get rid of this point, I actually don't mind it now that it's stuffed, but come up the center. I'm just going to hold this because I'm not going to sew this down. And then either go to the front or the back. Just kind of feel where you want. I think the back is where I would go. And then when you come back out, come out somewhere near the center, and then you're just going to tie that. And then that will, I can't hold it with, I need 3 hands here. I need to hold the bottom string and pull at the same time. So that will pull that down. I don't know if I'd pull it too much, but. Okay, well, you guys should have a finished frog. I hope you enjoyed this video. Oops, I shouldn't have pulled that. I guess, hope you guys have a great day and are doing well, and hopefully I see you in another one of my videos, and happy crocheting!